Even within the Bible itself, the story of Adam and Eve raises questions. In Genesis 1:26, God creates mankind, plural, in his image. Yet later, Adam and Eve are introduced as the first humans. Soon after their story begins, they encounter others. Their son finds a wife. They fear retaliation from outsiders. This might not just be a contradiction. It could be a clue. A clue that this isn't just the story of two people. It's the story of consciousness. It's the story of you and how you create your own reality. Eve is said to be born from Adam's rib, not his head, placing her above him, and not his feet, placing her below, but his side. This detail, often overlooked, carries profound symbolic weight. Eve is Adam's equal, the divine counterpart, the balancing force. Could it be that Adam represents the masculine, mind, logic, direction and construction, the builder of form? If that's the case, then Eve would represent the feminine, heart, intuition, emotion, the creative impulse, the spark that initiates experience. Together, they would form divine polarity, the yin and the yang of your internal world, the two creative forces inside all of us. The masculine brings structure, the feminine initiates the dream. So what happened? Let's imagine you lived in a pure state of presence, and they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed. Genesis 2:25. This isn't just about nudity, it's about the absence of judgment, the you that lives without labels, no shame, no guilt, no division, consciousness in its original unified form. But then came the one command. But of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, thou shalt not eat of it. Genesis 2:17. Why this one thing? Why was it the only forbidden act? Because if you're an individualized expression of source, a creator shaping reality through vibration, the one thing that could disrupt that awareness is the illusion of judgment. The moment you split experience into good and evil, you exit unity. You fall from grace, not because you're being punished, but because you forgot who you are. The serpent, a symbol we'll revisit later in this chapter, tempts them with this promise. Your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. Genesis 3:5. And in a way, if what we've theorized is correct, that's true. Your eyes were opened, but not to truth, to duality, to the belief in opposites. You entered a world where things were no longer whole, but categorized and judged. You stepped out of Eden, not physically, but vibrationally. And what did you, feel for the first time? Shame, separation, fear. Then the eyes of both of them were opened, and they realized they were naked. Genesis 3:7. This wasn't about nakedness. It was about vulnerability, self-consciousness, the birth of ego. The feminine said, "Let's try something different." The masculine constructed the illusion to match, and together they created the dream of otherness. When these energies are in harmony, creation flows naturally. When they fall out of balance, when the mind tries to dominate the heart, or the heart forgets to focus through the mind, the illusion of separation begins. The fall was not a punishment, it was a descent into the human experience, a journey into forgetting, so that we could one day remember. Because you can't awaken if you've never been asleep, and you can't remember who you are until you've truly forgotten. Eating from the tree may not have been a sin, but a choice. The soul choosing to experience limitation so it could remember its own infinite nature from the inside out.